So, welcome everybody, and this is Shirley from The Anderson Show. Thank you for joining us today. I have a lovely guest with me called Hayley. Thank you, Hayley.
Thank you for having me.
Hayley is a mother of two. She's married and she's got 25 years experience in the corporate world. And we're going to be talking about corporate bullying. You know, those bosses out there that, I don't know, think they can control and that they own you. And that because they are managing a department and overseeing everything, they oversee you and your personal life and everything else about you. So we're going to hear from Hayley and listen to her experience. Thank you, Hayley, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Yes, first time I've sort of spoken about it, but
wow.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
And I think giving your testimony and sort of like speaking out kind of helps you as well to heal, and it kind of helps you to, as you're talking, it's sort of like you start to think about, actually, this is what I've gone through, and it's not okay. And even when I was going through it, and sometimes people don't know what they're going through until they're on the other end of it, and they're like, this has made me feel hurt and abused and not heard and stuff like that. And it's always good because now you're giving voice to something.
Absolutely.
And as we say in church, you shame the devil when you speak about your issues and problems, but also you're going to be helping someone else listening, and that's maybe going through something like this at work now. And this is why I love doing the Anderson Show, because it's about trauma and hurt and problems that we go through, but then it's also about what do you go through maybe in your work life, personal life. You can even have a friend that is bullying you and you're not even sure, and it's good to talk about it. So let's talk about it, Hayley. So tell us a bit about this workplace that you was at.
Yeah, of course. So my degree's technical computer science, and I have diplomas in marketing as well. So my last job was for a very big, large corporate. Very successful in the healthcare and pharmaceutical world, a global company, and I was elated to be offered a 12-month contract. It was maternity cover, top of my game, heading up Europe, digital marketing initiatives for Europe, but I thought, you know what, I just have to do it. I knew it was going to be quite high pressured. But nothing ventured, nothing gained, and I've got all this wealth of experience. So my husband said, you know, I'll support you, just go for it. First sort of, I'd say 6 to 8 months, brilliant. Got on well with the immediate team. The boss, I think, wasn't very hands-on. He was always travelling. Very sort of at a distance, but it was kind of like, right, you've got this project, just deliver it in 2 months. So did that, big tick, delivered a huge social media playbook for Europe, and it was 80 pages long. That's and amazing. There wasn't anything that existed like that. So I had a lot of kudos and feedback from the teams in Europe. But cut to 12 months later, 11 months later, we had an end of year review. Bit of a backstory where my boss was very ambitious. There were some political changes and reorgs going on internally. He was going for other jobs. He went for a vice president role. Needless to say, he didn't get it. Anyway, he turned. He didn't get this role, and ego kicked in. So there was a lot going on with him. And he started projecting things onto his team in terms of how that had made him feel, but inferior or whatever. And we started noticing changes.
Right.
Cut to my end of year review. Like I said, I'd had brilliant feedback from certain digital marketing projects, and I have never ever witnessed anything in that 45 minutes appraisal where it was just me and him, no one from HR, no one else listening, nothing was recorded, and he absolutely laid into me in a very, very abusive fashion. This was all over a Teams call, so thankfully remotely.
It wasn't in person, right?
It wasn't in person. He could hide behind the screen, basically telling me that I'm not worth the grade and the salary that I'm being paid. I felt on this and that. How do I feel about all my projects I've delivered? Basically, you're not worth this grade. literally raising his voice, shouting at me, very, very hostile. I'm quite a kind, sensitive person.
And quite calm as well. Your demeanour's very calm.
Oh, thank you. And so it was disbelief. I think my jaw literally dropped, how he was so quick to turn on me in private, but also just started attacking my character and my worth. Like basically saying, you've been paid this for the last year and you're not worth it.
So demeaning you. So when you heard that though, as you said, your kind of like your jaw dropped. At that point, what was going through your mind though?
So I was actually in shock. Obviously, when people attack me like that, I put a wall up. So I was trying to process what was actually happening in that 45 minutes. Wanting to just run away and scream and cry.
Kind of like that flight, or even freeze. You know, a lot of people tend to, we kind of miss that one out, but people can actually freeze when something happens like that.
I did freeze. And I think that's been a big learning curve for me, perhaps in my professional career, is people... what's the phrase? They can misconstrue your, don't take my kindness
for weakness.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
So the one thing I did want to point out is this is the third time I've had a male boss verbally attack me.
Yeah.
And again, I'm quite a soft, sensitive soul. So you could argue maybe I'm not cut out for the cutthroat corporate world. I'm not assertive enough or tough enough. But for some reason, 3 bosses now have felt, to make themselves feel bigger, that they can big themselves up by treating me and absolutely belittling me and talking down to me and questioning my worth, when there are emails and praise that have come in from peers and colleagues. But I froze, and that's one of my biggest regrets, is not learning to assert myself in that moment and come back with an assertive response to shut it down. It's my biggest regret. My husband's been really supportive. Literally when I came off the call, I had my head in my hands, absolutely hysterically crying, and he's like, oh my God, what on earth has happened? And what unravelled after that was some of my other colleagues had pretty bad reviews as well, which I think is testament to his state of mind. And a true leader will put their personal goings on aside and give praise where it's worth it. What he did is he brought his self-worth into that meeting because he didn't get that vice president role, and more unravelled later, which I guess was the only comforting thing for me, was that he also, I don't believe for a minute he attacked them in the same way, because we had discussions, but he gave them all a really bad review.
To make himself feel better, no doubt, because he then felt like he probably went into the job interview quite confident. Like, I'm going to get this job, and I'm I look good, and my CV's great, and my experience is top notch, and this is it, this is me, the money's good, and then to sometimes have all that confidence, which a lot of perpetrators and these controlling, abusive people do, have all that confidence, and to be knocked down even by somebody that now you can't go back and bully, someone that's maybe his superior, he can't say nothing. So what he has to now do is find somebody that he can vent to. And that venting is not like, oh, guess what, I didn't get the job. No, that venting is that I'm going to bully you. I'm going to make you feel how I just felt in that interview about they don't want me in that job. Like, do you know who I am? Now I'm going to make you feel that way. I'm going to now reflect. And something that you said earlier on, like maybe you're not cut out for the corporate world. Why are you not? And I hear like 3 bosses later. But as you said, you are amazing. You have a worth experience. You should be wherever you want to be. Does that make sense?
And on paper, I've got the degrees and the diplomas, and I've got so much experience for big blue chips, and I have had happy, thriving times and periods. Funnily enough, they were female bosses, and I'm not a man hater.
It's not a gender thing.
I love men. I love my husband. The kindest man on the planet. But
that's good to know.
There are some big egos out there, and I think now that I understand more unravelled, so therefore I was able to perhaps detach and bounce back from it and think, well, the problem lies with him. And I think absolutely that starts the healing process. But there is anger, because all you want to do is pull that person into the room, whether that's in a year's time or I bump into him somewhere, and put it right. And that's a really hard thing to do, and it probably won't ever happen.
And when you say put it right, what do you mean by that?
By finally voicing how he made me feel.
Okay. And what would that do for you?
It would be quite liberating, and maybe I can sort of some closure to put it to bed. Because that anger's still there. I'm still holding on to it.
I would say just advice, as my sister always says, it's like giving someone poison but drinking it yourself when you hold on to anger.
It doesn't serve anyone.
It doesn't. And let it out. No, honestly, it's better out than in. Let it out, because at the end of the day, Hayley, you've gone into a workplace, and from what I've heard from you, you've changed things. You made things different and better. You had solutions. And not only that, apart from your boss, other people, your peers and colleagues, noticed that and gave you credit where it was due.
Yeah, I've got to hold on to that.
You hold on to that. And from that, the boss that didn't get the job that he wanted and so desired, thought, let's do this appraisal and let me do it my way. Let me make someone else, another human being, feel less than. Because that's how I felt coming out of that interview. And unfortunately, maybe he didn't have the right experience, or maybe he just wasn't the right fit, or maybe they just saw that aggressive person just by how he was talking. Some people are quite good with energies, and they can kind of pick up. You could be this lovely, hi, I'm really nice type of person, and someone just say something about that person. I don't know what it is, but I just don't like them. When you go into that room and there's someone you're like, we don't know. And who knows? And who really cares? He didn't get the job. And his job at that point was to give you appraisal, make it fair, make it about the work, not about personal things, and give you credit where it was due. And also with appraisals, these are things you did, good, that we great, and these are things that you can work on.
It's the delivery, isn't
absolutely.
it?
It wasn't, that was bad. No, these things you could work on, these things you could have. And as a manager, as a boss, helping you through those things and navigating you through whatever he's going to deliver. What he shouldn't have done is made you feel like a victim of, almost like when we talk, I talk a lot about domestic abuse, but what you were saying to me is like, I don't know if he's married or has a partner or whatever, I wonder how he treats the person if he has, someone at home or a child, a family member, because it won't just be home, at work, so where he's like that, it will be outside. And because maybe he hadn't had an opportunity or a chance maybe to vent, Hayley's that nice, sweet person that cares for people. She seems quite vulnerable. She's not a threat. She ain't going to give it back to me. Because would he have done it to a man? Or really maybe aggressive woman that he knows that he wouldn't have done that to. But he found this moment to do it to you.
And it's easy to blame yourself, thinking, why did I allow it to happen? Why do I encourage it? Have I got it written on my face mug? But I think, I understand more about it now. And my mum, very much like my mum, soft and sensitive, but she has suffered emotional abuse, not physical, but definitely psychological all her life. But I've got the power to recognise that and make changes.
That's good.
And to be honest, I know we're not here to talk about that today, but my dad was a big bully. So he was a big alpha male, and growing up we witnessed it all our lives. So I think this is why I shut off, because it's that, like you said, the flight off. It's like this is happening again.
The freeze,
but only I can change the narrative, and to give that aura of, I'm not going to take this shit anymore, you know. But there's a lot of it that happens in the workplace, and lots of different forms of bullying and belittling, all very subtle as well, where it can chip away at people slowly. I know it's illegal. I wish I'd recorded that whole appraisal.
Yeah, that would have been that would have been something.
Just to, you know, because you want to play it back, thinking, did that actually just happen to me?
Yeah. Because you start overthinking now, like, and then you start to doubt yourself, and then you start to put pieces together, and then you like, am I overthinking? Was it that? Was it? Because you're trying to play it back, aren't you? Because it's just happened. It was live, and it's just, and then it's gone. Yeah. And then you're thinking, did he just?
Yeah.
And you just say, you can't. Yeah. You're thinking to yourself, okay, this doesn't make sense. Because even why would he approach me in that manner? Yeah. And why would he belittle me and talk down to me like that? It's an appraisal. Yeah. And then you start to think, wow, actually, this is bullying.
Yeah. It was like 45 minutes of complete character assassination. And yes, you're not worth your contract. Like, I can't believe you're on this grade, on this salary.
And for him to have the audacity to say that. And let's just say when we say about bullying, because, you know, when they say, if you've been bullied once, or if you've been spoken down to or pushed, it's not really bullying, because there should be a pattern. But I guess what we're talking about in bullying here, because even though it might not have been him over the years, but it's been different managers, I will say it as that he's not just bullying you. His character's probably like that. And as you said, you know, maybe the other colleagues' appraisal didn't go as bad as yours, but yet he spoke to them in a way that they actually went, hold on a minute, this wasn't a normal appraisal, if that makes sense. Like, they knew.
It's not a normal appraisal. No. I mean, I've actually had teams work for me, and I've given appraisals, and you always end on a positive. You always praise them and big them up, because you get more from them.
Absolutely.
Then. There are things they always need to work on, but you do not go in with a complete character assassination of their worth and grade and job title and but we live. You know, now I thank him for giving me the courage to set up my own digital consultancy and marketing. And
so let's talk about that a little bit. So you've had this appraisal, and thank you. It's nice to say, I've got a good husband. It's nice, because sometimes it's not about coming on these shows, bashing men or any relationship you're in or whatever, but it's just about recognising that I've understood that I've gone through domestic abuse. I'm understanding now that I'm suffering with trauma, PTSD, I'm going through depression, and it's okay. It's okay to say I'm going through these things and to acknowledge it. But what we're not going to do is like, I'm going to bash like all men are this or all women are this. No, we're not doing that here. We're just recognising that person, that one person was with, or the boss that you had, that person had these issues, not everyone else. So I'm glad when you said about your husband, because it's nice. There are good men and there are good women, fantastic men and women out there. You're probably one of them watching. So thank you. Keep on doing the goodness that you're doing. So we just want to recognise that as well on here, you know, because there's amazing good people out there. And unfortunately, there's not so nice people that we do meet up. But as you said, when you do meet these people, they either can make you or break you. And we're hoping that they will make you stronger, make you more resilient, you know, more self-aware as well. And some of these times, and it's just, before you go on about what you do now, just quickly touch on something that you said about your dad being a bully. And it's not about your dad, but just recognising that even as a child being raised in a home with that kind of alpha male or that dominant, sometimes aggressive parent, you can either become that parent yourself or that person yourself, or then become a victim to another person like that. Subconsciously, that and we use our subconscious, like I think is it 94%, 95% of the time, more than our conscious. You know, sometimes you're driving somewhere and you don't even know how you got there, but because you take that route all the time, you're just programmed to do that. So we're kind of programmed from young. We watch the TV programming, you know, we do these go to school assistant programming. So we're kind of programmed our whole lives and becomes a way of life. So even growing up with a sort of like a domineering, bullyish parent, we don't realise from then, you know, up until you're 7, your brain is a sponge. We're absorbing all these things and these traits. And because you're such a kind and sweet person, you want to go out and be good and kind to everybody. But what we're not realising, we're attracting, unfortunately, some of the past behaviours of our parent, of an ex-partner, of a friend, of a colleague at work. And then we keep thinking, why am I keeping going through this?
I do seem to attract it, yeah. And I think it definitely is the latter.
Yeah.
And I think I've always had an issue with bosses and people in authority, I think, because of the history, like you said, that 0 to 7 with certain things that I remember and witnessed. And yeah, it's then projected into your daily
100%.
life.
I like that, yeah. It is projected.
So it's all, so that 3-year-old little girl needs, you know, I perhaps need to address some of these things.
And again, so just before you talk about what you're doing now, and as she said, the good thing is try and seek a therapist or a counsellor or someone that you could trust and talk to. Talking therapies is amazing, but sometimes if it's NHS, the waiting list is so long, you know, sometimes a year plus. If you've got the money to, some people think, £55, £65 plus is a lot. The pizza was a lot on your hips, and the burger and the chips and the cappuccino. Think about all those things that you could be maybe saving to do that. Even the first session, it could even change your life, because all these things that we've been taught and built up from young, it doesn't leave us. It stays in our subconscious. And then we're not going to talk about the brain because I'm not a doctor, but you know, I've gone through some therapy and counselling myself, and they talk about the hippocampus in your brain and how it kind of stores, you know, all that, the emotional things, and if it's not dealt with, it doesn't get stored properly. And so sometimes, you know, when someone triggers you and you're like, it can even say the word boo, and every time you hear the boo, oh God, sorry, and then where is that coming from? And you think to yourself, oh, when I was younger, my brothers and sisters always used to turn the lights off, shut the door and scare me. So now as you get older, that's gone. That was years ago. But why is it still triggering you? And maybe you need just to talk to somebody about it. And as simple and silly as it may seem, these things stay with you until you voice them out, until you get healed, until you say, actually, you go in that room and turn the lights off. And then you're like, I'm good, you know. So get that help. And as you said, and just one more thing, what is also, you can do some exercises, and it's sometimes revisiting that young person. So it might be painful for you, it might be going back and remembering some of those memories, but it's telling that young version of yourself. It's like, I'm Shirlene, I'm telling my younger Shirlene self, you are okay, you're safe, I love you, look where you are now, I'm whole, I'm healed, and you're loved. You know, telling that young child that even if you hug yourself, it sounds silly, but you're by yourself, no one's going to judge you. But telling yourself, I'm okay in this moment here.
So it's so true, so important.
I'm okay. And look for everything you've achieved and done. That little hurt girl is no longer hurt. And releasing that child. Well, the child's always within you. You can't release your own self. But in terms of the traumatic child, that memory, and leaving a happy smile on that child's face, and coming back to where you are now and saying, do you know what? That has made me the person I am today. And if you've got children or a cat or a dog or family or neighbours, say, actually, what joy do you bring to them? Do you understand? And thinking of those things, not the negative, not the past. There is no future in your past. You have to look to the future to say, how am I going to change my life to make it better? Isn't it?
True.
Yeah. Brilliant. So tell us about what you're doing now.
Well, I'm a great believer in everything happens for a reason. And I think at the time it was almost, I could have really fought to stay on perhaps for another 12-month contract. This was the nail on the coffin where I knew it wasn't the right environment for me. And it's not letting him win. I think this has happened before, where I've got the universe screaming at me to say, this isn't the right fit for you, you're meant for something else. You know, Hayley, you need to act now. And it, you know, it is a release. I've been so happy these last 18 months.
Wow.
I can be the real Hayley again, but still apply my skills and knowledge and expertise, but in a way that suits my narrative. To make me happy. And having that freedom and autonomy to choose projects and meet beautiful ladies like yourself.
Thank you. And did anything come of that meeting? Did you?
So it did actually. I was leaving anyway, and because it was maternity cover, so he could have fought to keep me, but it was clear he wasn't going to do that. What came of that meeting was he knew, and oddly, it was really odd. He had to take my laptop off me because a lot of it was remote working, so there were corporate owned equipment I had to return, and he offered to meet me in a local coffee shop to get the equipment back, and his whole demeanour was very, very different because he knew I was going. I wasn't a threat, or was I? And he actually asked for some constructive feedback.
Oh, interesting.
As a boss. So there were some undercurrents where I have this deep nagging feeling he was absolutely appalled at his behaviour.
Like he knew.
And I think his situation had improved since the appraisal. It was the most odd meeting. Again, the 3-year-old chose not to confront him because I avoid all confrontation at no matter what cost. So I didn't choose to enter into how he'd made me feel, and that's something I've got to carry. Because I'm a natural peacemaker. I think I'm quite intuitive, and I think that was almost my piece. It's kind of like, was it some sort of weird olive branch? Him asking to meet me in a coffee shop, to be really, really nice, as if nothing had happened. As I said, his situation had improved since then within the company, and to ask for feedback. I don't know. I think it was a tick box exercise.
I was just about to say that gets it off his conscious as well.
Gets
like I did this. Let me just see if she says anything. Oh, she didn't. Great.
She didn't. Well,
I'm fantastic.
I gave her the chance. I've asked. Hang on. What should a manager do? I've asked for that. So
sounds like a little narcissistic perpetrator.
I'm so glad you said that.
just like ticks all the boxes. Wow.
I mean, there were other things as well that. He was taking flights abroad to certain workshops I should have been in.
Oh.
So there was a lot of power. Yeah. There was a lot of power-hungry stuff going on, and keeping the little girl locked away. It's like, he didn't want me to shine at all.
At all. So maybe you might have been a threat. Maybe he looked at you like, oh, this is my rivalry. I need to keep her, subdued because
I think so.
Yeah, because she could take my job, and I don't want that. And if he's recognising that everyone's recognising how good you are, that's not good for him. What does that say for him?
Yeah.
And remember, we are humans. We do have these jobs, but we're also replaceable in workplaces.
Yeah.
Especially when you see, the powers be above start noticing these things. It could be an email. Oh my God, Hayley was brilliant. This and Hayley. Oh, who's this Hayley?
Yeah.
I might have to come down one day on the floor and see what's going on. And that's his job on the line. And as you talked about that 3-year-old again, I think it's called, if there's any doctors watching, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychotherapist, but I think it's called the amygdala. And that keeps all your emotions and stuff. And I think the hippocampus then stores all the information. So say we go back to when I was 4 years old, then we can have that memory, and the memory will come up, oh yeah, this happened this. But it stores it back again because it was a nice memory, or it's a healed memory. But when it's not healed, it stays in our hippocampus, and it's an emotional, and that's where we get that kind of trigger, that fight or freeze. So when you keep on saying that, taking back to a 3-year-old child, that's what needs healing. Because when a boss does come up to you again, and then maybe you had that opportunity, but it wasn't the right time, and you didn't feel, empowered enough to say, actually, I didn't like the way you spoke to me. I didn't like the way the appraisal went. I didn't appreciate your tone. there's got to be a time for that. We pray to God there's never a time for that, because you're going to be in your boss self now, more confident. But if there is a time that, people do speak out of turn, you're going to have your voice, Hayley, and you're going to speak out, and you're not going to be hiding behind a 3-year-old child. It's going to be, I didn't like that.
I do, absolutely. I want to change the narrative, and I have to change the narrative.
Yeah, you will,
because otherwise history will just keep repeating itself. But only I can make that
absolutely
happen.
And you will. So what's your business now?
Quick plug.
Yeah, go on.
I run a digital marketing agency, so we develop all things from websites, so we do website refreshes, new designs and builds, SEO, content marketing. We also design and develop mobile apps for business, and help you get ranked higher on Google and get your brand found online.
Wow. So guys, you need anything to do with your website and things like that, techie stuff, Hayley's the person. I'll leave some of her details down below. And just look, beautiful smile, Hayley. She's had bosses, so it wasn't just the one boss, it's other bosses. And this can really make you feel like I'm worthless, I'm not good to be in a workplace, I don't want to be here. But she's turned it around. And this is why I love doing these shows, because you could be at work now thinking, this is me, this is my boss, or this is my superior. And maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe you wanted to branch out by yourself, but you don't know how to. Then all the confidence that you once had that has been chipped away by someone else, unfortunately, you think to yourself, this is it, I'm just going to stay here, give up, or find a new job. Maybe you can be another Hayley and go out there and do something. So can I just give you a hug?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's lovely chatting.
Thank you for coming. And it's good to, sometimes if you have to let it out, there's no stigma. Sometimes it's better out, and it's a cleanse as well. It's a cleanse of the soul. And as I say, God collects all your tears. So not one of them goes to waste, none of them. So if you have to cry, cry. But do you know what? Don't keep crying though. That's the thing. You have to cry,
cleanse,
wipe it, cleanse,
heal. Yeah,
absolutely, and keep it moving. Keep pushing on. So guys, I just want to thank you, and as always, I'm going to leave some information down below. Beautiful Hayley. Thank you, Hayley, for being my guest. Thank you for sharing the story and your testimony. Until we meet again, guys. Shirley from the Anderson Show. Bye.